Dr. Jason W. Morrison, Theologist, New South Wales, Australia, the Watchtower Study Edition, 2019. Study Article 44. We're doing a theological audit on this. And it's taken 2 presentations, and I haven't gotten past the first line in context to how the Jehovah Witnesses treat people that don't suit their beliefs. You get into all this trouble with shunning. But the scripture they're quoting on the subject of build strong friendships before the end comes is, a true friend show loves at all times. But that doesn't seem to be the case in the Jehovah Witness organization, as we'll see in the following presentation. So please watch and enjoy. I don't mind referring out to other videos. I mean, the people that have experienced it know more about it than what I do. But for now, we'll turn to the following video.
Hey everyone. Hey, I wanted to discuss shunning and the whole discussion around, ostracizing family over your faith. Faith comes first, that's this sort of thing. If you're just tuning in and you haven't seen my videos before, I'm a 3rd generation Jehovah's Witness, ex-Jehovah's Witness, I should clarify, recovering. With my background, my experience in the realm of shunning itself, I mean, currently I'm not disfellowshipped, and so if you're not familiar with Jehovah's Witness practices of disfellowshipping, they call it disfellowshipping, or you can disassociate yourself, but either way, you're shunned, okay? So this type of thing has definitely been, this has definitely happened in history in a lot of different communities, different faiths. I mean, even so much as, like, if you think of prisons, people that go to prison, sometimes they're in solitary confinement, that's shunning as well. So, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the practice of shunning within the Jehovah's Witness organization, and how they actually encourage people to shun their own family. Okay? So myself, I had my first taste of shunning. Let's give you a little bit about some of my experience of shunning. My first taste of shunning was when I was bullied in elementary school, and it was because I was Jehovah's Witness, and kids would call me Jehovah or you're Jehovah, and then everybody would just not be friends with me for that day or that week. And usually it was around like holidays where I wasn't coloring turkeys or, like in elementary school. So anything that made me kind of stand out, which kind of, excuse me, really sucked, obviously, because when your friends are no longer around you, but I was a shy kid, so it was harsh. Anyways, so yeah, that was kind of my first taste of shunning, but then it continued on in high school, actually all through my school. I did not really care for school so much because I was bullied a lot. And most of it had to do around being a Jehovah's Witness, which you're persecuted as Jehovah's Witness, and that's a good thing. They actually say, we know we're Jehovah's Witnesses, and so we will be persecuted because of his name and all this kind of stuff. So you're almost proud of that fact, even though it sucks, but like, oh well, Jehovah's on my side and all that kind of stuff. So but then I felt the shunning in the inside the organization when I was disfellowshipped at the age of 18. And so I have another video and I talk about that. And so I was disfellowshipped right after I got married. I won't go into all the details. You can watch that video if you're interested. But so feeling it on both sides, right? So I'm feeling it through all my school years, and then also after school, I was shunned from the religion. So I was like, nice double-edged sword there. But and that was when I was 18. And then I was reinstated, and that's when you come back. And then so then I lived the rest of my years happily being a Jehovah's Witness follower until I went through my divorce at the age of 35. And when that happened, I talk about that on another video, so I won't go into details here. But when that happened, my friends actually from the congregation, they kind of did this disappearing act where they were shunning because they didn't know that I hadn't actually done anything wrong. I had just left my husband, and it was none of their business, really. So, and yeah, so anyways, and then that's continued because once I started realizing that, it kind of woke me up and stuff. So, but around the whole shunning thing, so I'm just giving you that background on me of what I've experienced around shunning, just some of those pieces. But so with the JW.org, so the Jehovah's Witness organization, they go into, like, if a family member leaves Jehovah, how do we deal with these people? So, and I'm just looking at their website here and how they talk about like what you should do. So basically, they tell members of Jehovah's Witnesses to respect the discipline of Jehovah. So basically, if the elders have decided that you should be shunned, then you should respect that because that's coming from Jehovah. And despite our pain of heart, I'm also reading from the website, despite our pain of heart, we must avoid normal contact with disfellowship family members by text, messages, telephone, letters, emails, social media. But maintain hope. Love hopes all things, and then they also go in. So Jesus said that if we were to put any human before him, we would not be worthy of him. So I'm just mentioning these things from the jw.org because it kind of gives you just some flavor as to the how the organization views and actually encourages people, their members, to act around people that are their family that have left the religion, okay? And so they actually say, like, our greatest threat to our peace may come from unbelieving relatives. This is also from some of their website, too. Some might ridicule our beliefs, accuse us of dividing the family, threaten to disown us unless we give up our faith. Honestly, like, when I read this on their site, I was like, I don't think that I've ever seen that happen. I mean, maybe some of you viewers have actually had that happen, like maybe as a worldly person coming into the JW organization, maybe your family had that type of reaction. But anyways, I thought it was kind of odd because they actually do that to you. If you decide that you don't believe anymore, or you have different thoughts or doubts or fade away, like all of a sudden they actually do that to you. So yeah, I just wanted to bring some of that up. So Jehovah's Witnesses, the JW organization, they use shunning as a form of punishment. It's bullying. It's downright bullying. It's a form of social shame and humiliation. That's what shunning is. And it's used to enforce conformity, punishment or control, or all of the above, to ensure that their identity as a collective group continues. And that means there's no room for individual thinking or beliefs that go against that collective belief system or their set of rules, right? So, and shunning or ostracizing, it's a form of abuse. It is. It absolutely is. So JW.org is absolutely encouraging abuse. It is well documented in research from social psychology that people obey orders that are given from someone in authority. And that is, you'll definitely see that. I used to do that, sadly, and I'm sorry for doing that. But as a Jehovah's Witness, there are huge consequences when you speak to people that have been disfellowshipped or disassociated themselves and such. And so you really do conform yourself to the rules, because you're trusting in Jehovah, you're trusting in the governing body and what all this stuff they tell you to do. So if those that are in authority, so the governing body, if they encourage shunning, people obey that, regardless of the psychological distress and the damage that it has on the family. So, and the consequences, the psychological consequences of being shunned, I thought this was so interesting. I read it on, I think it was psychology.com or something. But it can be best explained as social death penalty. Oh, that was so good. It's so true. The immediate effects are isolation from family and the community. There's an attempt to make sense of why this is happening to you. I mean, how can your family reject you? So you're like, why me? What happened? What's wrong with me? They start to attack your sense of self. So like, what's wrong with me? And why do they hate me? And what can I do? What did I do wrong? And this leads to feelings of helplessness, hopelessness, worthlessness, depression, low self-esteem, suicidal ideations, self-harming behaviors, a major sense of loss. And this is all encouraged. This is abuse. This is encouraged by jw.org to actually shun your family members and your friends. But I'm going to just focus most on talking about family and how the organization encourages active members to shun their inactive family, their disassociated or disfellowshipped family members. And researchers, I took some of this information from psychology.com because I loved it. Researchers in psychology, they've observed a high prevalence of PTSD amongst people who've been shunned. Oh my God, it's so true. To get a more clear idea of the pain that shunning can cause, researchers have observed that even being a bystander to shunning can have a dire psychological consequence. So individuals who've been shunned live with psychological agony, often for the rest of their life. Basically, psychological torture. The sun just came out. So, how do you deal with these traumas? How do you deal with this torture, this abuse? Because it is. Let's not pretend that it isn't. So I can share some of what I've done. There's probably a long list. I've been out of the religion for I think, this year's 10 years. Yay! My 10-year anniversary of being free of the religion. What have I done? So what do? I have a meditation routine. I pretty much start with it every morning. And it kind of replaced, I suppose, a lot of what I used to do with prayer. I don't believe in God anymore. So there was kind of like this vacant spot that I used to pray. I prayed every single day and multiple times a day. So, but anyway, so meditation, that's part of a routine, that I do. Also journal. I find it very therapeutic. I always have. I've always journaled. I've always had journals right from as long as I can remember, right from being a kid and everything. One thing I learned was to forgive. To forgive the people that have shunned me. And I truly feel sorry for their blindness. I really do. I feel sad that they're still so blind. There's very little that you can say without them being defensive, other than stand up for your own beliefs and your own life, how you choose to live. because as you do that, you feel like you're empowered by just doing that, and not being controlled by any organization or any governing body, and now you have that freedom. So breathe that freedom in. It's amazing. I told somebody the other day, I said, have a freedom party when they leave, because just having, start celebrating stuff. Celebrate stuff we've never been able to do. The first time I celebrated my birthday, I was like, oh my God, I felt tingles of guilt, but there's just so much happiness about, like, yay, I can actually say my birthday. And people can, it wasn't even that big of a deal. It was like we went for dinner, like whoop-de-doo, with a group of people, but it was just so awesome to be recognized as a special day. Anyways, so I started celebrating stuff, which was awesome. I'm still horrible at really celebrating anything. Like Valentine's Day just happened, and I'm like, oh yeah, I should have got a card or something. So yeah, celebrate stuff. Celebrate the good moments and in your life. And on the forgiveness of the people that shun you, including your family, of course, mostly even, because friends can fall away from your life regardless of whether they shun you or not. But you can always make new friends, which I also say. Remember that, look for like what I did. So after I left, I said, that's it, because I got a really good taste of seeing what conditional love was, which is, if you don't conform to, if you don't believe in what we believe, we can't associate with you, we can't be around you, that sort of thing. So that's very conditional. I learned about unconditional, saying, okay, I want people that love me for me. And they want to be in my life because they accept me for everything, all my flaws and everything, right? And me for them. So I don't want to change anybody. That's not my point in my life. We should all accept each other. So after that, that's how I live my life now. And so finding new friends, that's kind of what I put out there. I said, this is what I want to find as friends. And it was amazing, because the first year that I left the religion, I was like, all these people were coming into my life, and they were just amazing, and they're still like some of my best friends that I'm so grateful to have. So just kind of putting those intentions out there does a lot. Realize that there's life after religion, like there is, and now it's your time to really create what you want. And it's very powerful. So, keep that in mind, that you don't have to hang on to this past. It's past, it's gone, let it go. Now you can create what do you want to do, what you want to be. You want to go back to school, do it. If you want to make a ton of money, do that. If you want, whatever, travel the world, do whatever you want. It's your time. You're free. You do it. What else? This is a big thing, actually. Try not to isolate yourself, because when you first get shunned, when you're first going through that, it is so isolating. It is sad. It's very depressing, and I have gone through a lot of depression from the various times of being shunned, disfellowshipped, dissociated, wrongly shunned, whatever. All of these things that have happened, like I've definitely gone through my fair amount of depression from it. I'll just share a quick story. I'll probably do a longer video about it at another time, but like my parents, they shunned me for a good 3 years after I started dating my fiance. We're engaged now, but when I was dating him, and once they realized, like, I'm not coming back to the religion, they churned it off. I didn't hear from them. There was nothing for like 3 years. So, and then most recently, they're sort of talking to me now, but Probably until they come across these videos. And then more recently, which really kind of sent me into a bit of a spiral, was my grandma last year. And yeah, I will do a video about it because it's kind of a longer story and deserves some more attention maybe. But anyways, it was last year, and she disassociated herself from me. I was going to go visit her. I had just sent her flowers, all this kind of stuff. And then she said she can't associate with me anymore because I'm not following Jehovah's rules, life, whatever, Jehovah's way of living. And anyways, that kind of sent me into depression, quite a heavy one last year, quite frankly. So it's taken some time to kind of process a lot of this stuff out. And it's tough because even though you're out, if you've left or if you're thinking of leaving or you've been out for a long time, it never will ever be gone. It'll always be with you. And there's always going to be pieces, whether you were baptized or whether you're not, or whether you just grew up with it and you didn't actually get baptized. Like I know some people who have said that, and they were just like, it's flavored almost every piece of their life, right? Well, if you're born into it like me, or if you came into it at a young age and you're indoctrinated with it, it flavors so much your life, and it always will. So you need to figure out how to deal with it. Get some tools to figure that out. Get some counseling. Quite honestly, like when I went through my divorce and all of that, I did actually go see a counselor. Because I was just like, I needed somebody neutral, somebody who doesn't know anything about me or my family or my ex-husband or any of that stuff that was happening in my life. So I did go see a counselor, and it was so helpful to just have somebody who's neutral and just be able to talk to them about stuff, everything. I haven't really gone to a lot of counseling, but other than a few times, which was always helpful. But I also have a friend who's a psychologist and she helps a lot. She has so many tips and tools that kind of puts my way, even though she can't be my therapist because she's my best friend. But that's okay. She's very helpful, and I love that. And just surrounding yourself with people that are like you, and attracting those in your life. So, anyways, that's my bit on today because I know there's so many of us that have been affected by, you leaving just because you don't believe anymore, and yet you're shunned. And what it comes down to is it's abuse, and our families that are involved, they don't even realize that it's how abusive that is. That's worse than slapping you across the face. It's so psychologically traumatic. And the organization, they are the ones who are pushing our families into shunning us. And quite frankly, it's disgusting that they actually are continuing this type of practice and this type of brainwashing, that they continue this lack of love, even though they say, oh, we're here when they want to return and all this kind of stuff. So I'd love to hear from some of you who, if you've been shunned and have gone through any of similar experiences and no longer practicing or whatever your circumstances, like what's helped you to move on? Like, do you have some practices or some kind of routines that you do? I'd love to hear it, and put that in the comments. Yeah, because I think we can all help each other with this type of stuff too, which is and reading. Oh yeah, that was another thing I meant to say too, is that reading self-help stuff. I do a lot of that. I still do. I think it's important to continue to improve ourselves, and so that's what I do. The more we learn about ourselves, the better we'll be. So that's it for me. Thanks for being here. And thank you for your thumbs up, and please subscribe, and have a great week. I'll see you next weekend.